Hey everybody, welcome to Harmon Garage. I'm Aaron, and I am definitely not 454 poor. Got myself in a bit of a pickle this time. So I have two videos that I started filming. One I thought I had all the parts for, and I didn't. And so I can't finish it up because I don't have all the parts. The second one I was working on outside, and down came the rain and washed my hopes and dreams out. Right at this very point in the video that I'm working on requires painting, and I can't paint when it's raining and 100% humidity. So that killed that. So if you're a regular on the channel, you know that every Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock I try to put out a video. Well, it is Monday at 3:08, and I haven't even started a video to put up for tomorrow. Well, I've started the two, but I can't, neither one of them will be done. And I really like to get a video put up for you guys, even if it's just a short one. And I'll try to do a second one this week. But anyways, because I needed to get something out, and I've got short amount of time to do it, and I'm probably gonna be up all night trying to finish it and edit it and whatever else. I've got a big block over there, I've got a big block over there, I got a big block over there. Can I get another big block? And this one wins. This is the big block for Pennywise. The crew cab dually that used to belong to me and no longer does. It has been sold, and the person that bought it wants me to do some work on it, and I sold it as a roller. This is the big block that was in Pennywise. I wanted to keep it, so I sold it without. He brought me this motor to put in. It was purchase used. We don't know anything about it. And this is Harmon Garage. So we're gonna get it up on the stand and take the oil pan off, take the intake off, take the timing cover off, all of the above, check everything out, figure out what kind of shape it's in. We're gonna clean it up. We're gonna put a fresh coat of unknown color paint on it, and then we're going to get ready to put it in Pennywise. So this video is gonna be checking out and cleaning up a big block. 454 right there. So hold on to your hats, because here we go. Alrighty, and with a little old switcheroo, bam, we got the motor that we're supposed to be working on the engine stand up in my face, where we can start working on it. Now, some of you guys might find this part boring. Some of you might find it really exciting. And I'm doing it for multiple reasons. One, to help you find out exactly what you have if you don't know. And two, it might help you to get the correct parts if you don't have them. So this is what we're gonna do. I went through here and wrote all this stuff down, and if you come right back here, on most Chevy motors, driver's side, here at the back, you have what's called a casting number. Casting number should tell you a rough year range and what motor it is. So let's break that down first. So I went on, there's multiple websites online. One of them's Nasty Z28. Went on Nasty Z28, and 399-9289, which is that casting number I just showed you, is a 71 to 79 454. Could be a 2 or a 4 bolt, and it says some CE replacement blocks had 4-bolt main caps, which none of the other ones had a side notation, so I added it in here just because. So if it's a CE replacement block, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong and you know, there's a comment section down there for that. I believe that means CE replacement block. That means like if the block had a casting issue or something, and they you took it back to the dealership and they rebuilt your motor, but they just put a new block or just got a new block and put all the old parts back in it. I think that's what a CE replacement block is. I'm probably wrong, but I think that's right. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna look for our suffix code. Suffix code is a breakdown of where the motor was made, once again, when the motor was made, what it is, and what kind of vehicle it came in. Sometimes next to the suffix code, there's the last 8 of the VIN, which will let you know like specifically what kind of car it came out of and stuff. This doesn't have that on it. I cannot find it. I've gone over the whole motor. Big blocks are iffy because big blocks have numbers all over them. Small blocks have a smaller pad where I'm about to show you, and it always has the suffix code and the last 8 of the VIN stamped right in it. Unless it's a crate motor, then they don't usually have the last 8 of the VIN because it wasn't in a vehicle, so they don't have it. Anyways, this right here is the pad. Passenger side front, your alternator is going to sit right here. Like I said, if it's a small block, it's in the same place, but it's a different pad. It's like a little square that sticks out. But let me get a flashlight if I can find what I did with it. So you go in here, you clean that off, and hopefully you guys can see that says T1102 TRH. So now we are able to break it down a little bit more. Sorry, I had to look at something. So anyways, T stands for Tonawanda. Tonawanda is a city in New York, and that's where the engine assembly plant was that this engine was made and assembled. The 1102, and it's pouring down rain again. I'm sure you guys are gonna be able to hear it. I apologize. Can't stop the rain, trust me. With the recent issues I've been having, if I could stop the rain, I would stop the rain. Anyways, 1102, 1102 stands for November 2nd, 1973. So it's T1102. We know that's Tonawanda, New York, November 2nd. And then the last 3 are TRH. Well, TRH is the code. You look the code up and it gives you multiple pieces of information. So with the TRH, I found out that even though I'll tell you guys in a minute, but well, I'll just tell you right now. So there's a date code on this motor also, and it is right here, and I can barely see it, so you guys aren't going to be able to see it. And it is J2872. J2872. So that means J would be October, because it's the 10th letter of the alphabet. 28, 1972 is when this motor was assembled. I have pulled the valve cover off, checked in the heads, and the head casting numbers are J2872, October 28th, 1972. So the block and the heads were cast in the same day. It's kind of a rarity. I've done this a lot of times, and I haven't found a whole lot of them. You know, this motor, 72, that would be 28 and 25, 50, like 53. This motor's like 53 years old, and it still has the original heads on it. That's, I mean, I guess it's more common, but not always. Anyways, so TRH means 73. From where I looked in Line Book to figure out this suffix code, and TRH didn't list a 72 for the 454 under that 3-letter code, but they could have just left it out, they could have missed it, or this could be considered a 73 model motor, because if it was built in November of 72, it would have came out in a 73 model year truck. So they're calling it a 73 454, 240 horsepower, 4-barrel carburetor, and a turbo 400 transmission. You can learn all that from that suffix code that I showed you right there, and the date codes and the casting number. So we also know that from that code that it's from a truck. So 73 first year square body, and 454 240 horsepower out of a truck that came with a 4-barrel and a turbo 400 transmission. So it's good information to have. Like I said, it might have bored you guys, you might not care, but sometimes, I mean, if you go to the store, most parts stores nowadays, I'm not gonna say any names or anything like that, but a lot of parts stores you go to have younger people that don't know a whole lot about cars, and it's just a job, and they don't really care because it's just a job. So you go in there and say, I need something, whatever the part may be, take your pick, water pump for a 454. They're gonna go, oh, what kind of car was it in? And you're gonna say, oh, I don't know, you know, maybe a 75 model truck, whatever. You're gonna pick something that has a 454 in it. Well, problem with that is the water pump from a 72, water pump from a 80 something may not be the same. So if you have your date and you know what year the motor actually is, you have a better chance of getting the right part the first time. What I'm getting at, I caught myself before all the babbling. So anyways, that's good information to know, super easy to find. Like I said, the casting numbers are Nasty Z28 online. It's the best place I've found to get them. I've never come across a number that he didn't have listed on there. Suffix code, Nasty Z28 does some of those too. For me, I'm not very bright. It's easier to navigate through the line book. It kind of breaks it down and makes it easier to do. So linebook.com, nastyz28.com, good places to get engine information. So that being said, it's time to start pulling it apart. And I took the bolts off the valve covers already, so I'm just gonna go ahead and lift them off. And then I'll get the other camera over here. We'll get some tools out and we'll start digging. This doesn't look that bad. See this head, I pulled the other valve cover off and it was J2872. This head is J3072. So it was cast 2 days after the block and the other head. Which, I mean, they just cast a whole bunch of them and they like go sit on a pallet and they grab them when they need them. But actually, no, that's J25. So this head was cast October 25th of 72. This head was cast October 30th of 72. And the block was cast, I think that's a 6, October 26th of 72. So all in the same 4 days, 5 days, whatever. But they look pretty clean. Springs look pretty clean. Somebody painted it recently with the valve covers off, which means they were just trying to make it look good because we know it's a used motor. So, but that all looks pretty good. That's a little loose. Three out of 16, a little loose, ain't bad. No telling if they've ever been adjusted. All right, I'm gonna get some tools and get the intake off. Actually, I think before we do anything else, I'm just gonna roll it over and get that pan off, and then we can find out. Actually, I'm gonna pull the drain plug first and make sure it doesn't have oil in it, because I don't even know. Pull that drain plug, roll it over, see if it has oil in it, and then we'll pull that pan off. I think it's only held on by like 2 bolts anyways. Pull the pan off, see if it's a 2-bolt or a 4-bolt, blah, blah. And we'll just, like I said, we're just gonna tear it down. Because it's unknown and because he wants it to be fairly reliable stuff. I'm gonna go get the engine gasket set. If it came with valve seals, I'm gonna go ahead and we'll lap the valves, put new valve seals in it. I've come to the conclusion already, I'm not getting this done today. The video is gonna be a day late because I'll get it all done tomorrow. It's supposed to rain all week and I'm not getting parts till Wednesday for the other project we already started and whatever. So this is our new project. I should have this video out Wednesday morning instead of Tuesday morning. So it's Wednesday right now. You guys are watching it. It's Monday here right now. You get the picture. I'm gonna pull that pan, blah, blah, blah. I already told you, be back in a minute. Okay, I don't know if anybody caught on to that or not. I'm the one that did it and it took me a minute to catch on to it, but I specifically told you that there's only like 2 or 4 bolts holding the oil pan on. And then I said I was gonna take the drain plug out, see if there's any oil in there. Obviously, if there's only 2 or 4 bolts in the oil pan, somebody has had the oil pan off and it isn't gonna have any oil in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the intake off. And don't mind my phone, I forgot to turn the ringer off. Go ahead and get the intake off just so when I flip this thing over, it's not any heavier than it needs to be. I took the metal bolts out off camera because you have to wrench them out with a wrench. And I didn't want to make you guys sit there and wait while I did it. So, just to speed things up a little bit, I took care of that ahead of time. So. And pardon the birds chirping, there's a nest right outside the door. And they come back and make a nest there, a new nest there every year. So there's actually like 5 or 6 nests out there now. And they've hatched, and I think it's about time for the little ones to fly away, so the mom's having a heyday. That's what all the chirping's about. I'm not mean enough to go get rid of the nest or nothing because it's part of the circle of life and they need somewhere safe to have their babies and whatever. And for the most part, unless they're obnoxiously chirping, like they are right now, and when they get ready to leave and they poop all over everything out there, they really don't bother me. So that's that story. You're welcome. Okay, intake is off. I'm just looking at cam lobes. I'll bring you guys in here and show you. Or, yeah, I'll bring you guys in here and show you them a little bit. I'm just looking at them right now, and from what I can tell, they don't look that bad. This thing's been sitting empty for a while. There's like dust coming out of it. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3 bolts holding the oil pan on. And the first one I grabbed hand tight, second one I grabbed hand tight. And the third one I grab is only hand tight. So this is why we're not just buying this and going and putting it right in the truck, because you never know. Oh, there's another bolt. You never know if something's what people say it is. So I don't normally trust them unless I take them apart and look at them myself. What we're doing. And there doesn't appear to be a lot of junk in the oil pan, and it doesn't appear that the oil pan has been cleaned, so that is good. It does, however, appear that somebody put an entire tube of silicone along with the rubber deal on the front of this, but nothing but the rubber deal on the back. It doesn't have signs that the rear main has been leaking. All inside the crank and everything here is dry, clean, like it's been like that for a while. Has very, very little, if any, end play, which you want to have a little bit, that's normal. Uh-oh. I can't tell. I can't tell if these they got a little side to side play, which doesn't really bother me, but I can't tell. If it's just moving side to side or if it's moving on the crank also. I do know how we can find out though. They're all about the same. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take one cap off, look at the bearings, see what they look like. And take one cap off, look at the bearings and see how they look, and if they look not that bad, then they're all gonna look not that bad. If it looks like utterly terrible, then they're all probably gonna look utterly terrible. So. I just hate to do a bunch of work to this just to get it all cleaned up, re-gasketed and everything else, and get it put in a truck and find out that it's bad knocking or anything really. So we're gonna do what we gotta do to one spot on here. One spot is stamped, which doesn't make any sense at all. All right. Okay, some bearings, I don't know how well you guys can see. They really don't look that bad. Looks like there's a little bit of pitting, but kind of smooth themselves back out. And there's no, I'm not seeing like anywhere at all on this journal, which is good. So I just pushed that piston down a little bit. I am gonna look down here in the bearing because I can see it. still has clean oil in the bearing, and it doesn't look bad. And there's still oil and everything on this journal. So I'm gonna go ahead, put this bearing back in here. I'm gonna put a little bit of assembly lube on this. The bottom bearing still has a bunch of oil in it, but this top one, I dried it off and wiped it off. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put a little bit of assembly lube in there, just because I don't want to put it back on there dry. It's like somebody started stamping stuff in here and stopped or something. I don't know. They only did part of something. Alright, I am not upset with what I saw. I have seen worse and still ran it, so that doesn't concern me at all. I can see the cam from down here also. We will take a look at that in a second once I get this back up. Now I'm just snugging this, and then I'll go figure out torque specs and I'll figure out torque specs and torque it down. Right now I'm just getting it seated back in there. This one, the bolt started to come out, so it's got to be pulled back up. Alright, take a little peek in here at the cam. I don't see hardly any wear on it at all. I can reach down in the bottom of the cylinder, and there's no ring ridge at the bottom, like at all, like where the bottom ring stops. Not a ridge there, and I can still see cross hatching in the cylinder walls. Not like a ton, not super great, but there's still some in there. All the pistons still have all their skirts on them. I don't see any excessive wear anywhere. Seems okay. So I'm gonna find torque specs. I'm gonna get a torque wrench and torque that cap back down so I don't forget. And then I'm gonna grab a bar and I'm gonna spin this thing over and just see, just watch it while we spin it. Make sure everything's good. Okay, I got that retorqued. Anybody's interested, the 3/8 studs, they say 50 foot-pounds, and the 7/16 studs, they say 70. So these are 3/8 studs. I retorqued that to 50 foot-pounds, and I went ahead and checked a couple of the other ones that were up while I had it going, and they were fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this bar, spin a couple revolutions, and just see if I hear any funny noises or see anything weird. Spins nice and smooth. I don't hear it making any odd noises or anything like that. You guys may be thinking, wow, that thing doesn't have no compression or nothing. I don't have any spark plugs in it. I mean, there's really nothing to contain. So I think it's gonna be all right. It seems to be turning over good. Like I said, I pulled that one bearing and it seemed fine. If it's fine, there's a good chance the rest of them are fine too. So I'm gonna go ahead, we got a new oil pump for it. And I think we got a new timing chain. If we don't, I will go get one. But we'll do the oil pump and the timing chain, and then we'll be able to put the pan and stuff back on. I'm gonna clean that pan out. It's got some stuff in it, just not dirt or anything, just old sludge, I guess you'd say. So, but the inside of the motor looks pretty good. And I guess I could check the timing chain, but I'd rather just replace it. So we'll do the oil pump, timing chain, get the pan and everything back on, and then that part, the whole underneath will be done. We'll roll it over, we'll yank those heads off and see what it looks like from the top. Okay, I got our balancer off, I got our timing cover off, and once again, everything up here looks pretty good and pretty clean for an old motor we don't really know anything about. I believe he told me when he bought it, the guy said it needed to be rebuilt. I'm not finding any reasons why it would need to be rebuilt. Now, with that being said, anytime I sell a used motor or a used transmission or anything, even if I know they're good, I tell people that they need to be rebuilt just because I don't want them to take it and have a problem with it and come back to me and go, oh, you know, you said this motor was good and it only lasted, 10,000 miles and now it's junk. Well, so it may not really need to be rebuilt. He might have just said that because of that, but usually if you guys watch the channel, you've seen me clean up and do a bunch of these motors, and I always do the timing chains, and we didn't get one. So this timing chain's got some slop in it, and we got a new oil pump, but we didn't get a pickup tube. This one's got some sludge built up in it, it's got some rust on it, and it's already been welded to the pump like I do. So I'm gonna run to the parts store that's 20 miles away to find out that they don't have any of the parts that I need and I have to order everything. And then I'm gonna drive 20 miles back and probably order it online, and I won't get it for 2 or 3 days, and we'll have to keep prolonging all these processes. But I'm gonna do what I can do, so we'll be back. All right. I'm back. You guys didn't even know I was gone, but I was. Now I'm back. And I was gone because you can't buy parts at the parts store anymore. I know that sounds goofy, but I think it's goofy too, but you can't buy parts at the parts store anymore. I could not find, granted I live kind of in the middle of nowhere, but I could not find parts for this big block anywhere within 100 miles of here that I could just go to the store and pick it up. Everything was ordered. It's gonna take 3 days to get here, blah, 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 blah. And if I'm gonna order it, I'm not gonna order it from the absolute most expensive place there is to get it. I'm gonna order it from somewhere else. So we ordered it online. Took a couple days to get it here. Now we got it, now we can continue. So I had an oil pump for it. I may have already mentioned that to you guys. Now I gotta find where I put that oil pump. Here it is. And I didn't have a new pickup tube. And the old pickup tube was welded to the pump, which I'll do the same thing to this one. And it was not I couldn't take it off. I could have cut it off and hammered it out and everything else, but I don't think it was the right one anyways. It looked like it was for a small block. It was really short. And it didn't look like any of the other big block ones I've ever used, or any of the new ones that I found looking for the right one to put in here. So we'll get this oil pump changed. I'm gonna torque this, proper torque specs, about right there. That is good. We will have to make sure that our oil pump priming rod is all the way engaged when I flip the motor back over, but for right now, it is fine. Then, like I was saying, ordered a pickup tube online, and they come, there's one for a deep pan, one for a shallow pan. Well, I've got 4 big blocks sitting here out of 4 different types of vehicles, and they all look to have the same pan on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get this started in there part way. Then I'm going to grab our oil pan, and if I set the oil pan down in there and it doesn't knock that pickup tube off or anything like that, then we're okay. If it does, then we need the shorter one, which we may already have the shorter one. I don't know. But either way, I didn't hear it hit anything. It's setting all the way down, and it didn't move it. And there's a slight dent in the bottom of the pan, and with the angle that this is sitting at right now, it did touch the bottom of the pan, but only on this edge, which is okay. But we'll turn that just a touch so it sits more flat. Now it's not going to be touching the pan. Then we'll gently, or not, that sucker does not want to go in there. All right, that's all the way in, and as you can see, that turns really free. Like, freer than most of them do. So, that is why I weld them. You don't gotta run a bead all the way around it, or anything like that. It can turn, even though it was hard to get in, if it can turn that free, it can fall out. So I will cover up the motor so I don't get welding slag on any of the main caps, rods, down in cylinders, anything like that. I'll bring my welder over here and we will give that a good zap, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like up close after I get it done. All right, I got that all set. We got our, put 2 tack welds on this one. Wasn't real happy with the first weld, so I put a second one on it, but that ain't going nowhere. It's all good, and I went ahead and put my crank bolt back in, because now we're gonna go on to changing the timing chain, and I have to turn the motor because we got a dot there and we've got a dot right there, so I need to turn it over to where they both line up right here. So I'm gonna get a bar out and we'll get those lined up. I'll show you what they look like when they're lined up, and then we're gonna need to get a puller and stuff. We'll pull this timing chain and gear set off and put the new one on. Okay, I got it turned over, and you guys can see there's a dot right there, dot right there. Got that lined up. Now I can take these 3 bolts loose. We'll pull this gear off, take the chain off, and then we'll get a puller and pull this bottom gear. And we'll put our new one on and be ready to move on. Like somebody stripped off this bolt. Hopefully it'll come out. All right, good. Everything inside this motor looks super clean. Yeah, that's pretty well rounded off. Probably look and see if I got another one laying around somewhere. I probably do. Put it back in here, but the inside of the motor just looks really clean. Like, for when he bought this, the person he bought it from said, oh, it needs to be rebuilt, but it's clean. So I don't know. Hopefully the little freshen up that we're doing on it will be enough of a rebuild. That's all it'll need. So all right, well, apparently my puller kit is brand new, so it is not assembled. So rather than making you guys sit there and wait while I assemble it, I'm gonna go ahead and throw it together, and I'll bring you back and we'll get this pulled off of here. Hopefully it's not on there too bad. I've had some that come right off, and I've had some that you fight for hours. And these 2 plugs right here are oil galleys, and if they're not sealed up good, you'll lose oil pressure. And it doesn't appear that they have any kind of sealant on them, and it also doesn't appear that they're in all the way. Usually they're almost flush, and it almost looks like the gear's been rubbing on them. So I'm probably gonna take those out, put a little sealant on them, and put them back in. I might just go ahead and film that so you guys can see it. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get my puller put together, and we'll come back and finish this up. Okay, I've been wrestling with this thing for a while now. I think I got it to where it's gonna pull, and it does. I don't know if me just tapping on the top of it loosened up, but I've never had one come off this easy before, ever. But there it is. So, ta-da! All right, well, I was expecting a lot more out of that, but I'll take it. So, somewhere in here should be another small gear right here. And this is a double roller. So let's hope that our Yeah, see, that one don't want to go. That one's gonna have to be tapped on. That's how it should be. I was saying, hopefully our timing cover still fits with the double roller chain. Need to find something now to go over this, kind of like that. Any socket or anything that'll fit over your crank snout, but make contact with the thick part of this. Then you hear the tone change, and obviously it stops moving, and you're on there. And now, got some Loctite, which they didn't have on there before, but we're putting it on now. All right, so I'm gonna get this. Why is that like that? So this is exactly how we took it out. And probably because I'm an idiot. Okay. I was thinking that this pin was backwards, but I was trying to put our dot up top when it needs to be down here. So that's gonna go just like that. That's gonna line our dots back up. So we'll take our chain and we'll hang it on here. And you gotta be careful to make sure, see that's off a tooth. So we'll take it and we'll move it a tooth. And we'll keep playing with it till it gets right where it needs to be, which is right there. And then put a little Loctite, or a lot of Loctite. Well, Loctite on our bolts. Back in there. All right. It looks like instead of using Loctite, they took a punch and peened the bolts, which I look at this old gear, it didn't do anything. And as easy as those bolts came out, definitely didn't do anything. So I've never heard of peening them like that. I'm not saying it's not a good practice if you do it. Just saying that I never heard of it before. Get those nice and tight. Put the Loctite on there. Thread locker, whatever you want to call it. Not get too crazy because you can strip out that cam. All right. There we go. Now, can't put the oil pan on without putting the timing cover on first because it seals on it. So that means we're gonna go get a scraper. We're gonna clean our whole mating surface for our oil pan and for our timing cover. And I need to check and see what time it is because I got a little girl that I gotta go pick up from school. But that looks like it's got a lot of play, but it's just because this side's really tight. Once it centers, it'll be even on both sides, it'll be fine. So yeah, hopefully our timing cover will fit. It looks like it should. I'm gonna clean this up real quick. get our timing cover, get it ready to put on. It's already been cleaned up because I painted it, because once we put the water pump on, it's hard to paint the timing cover, so I got it painted so that we don't run into that issue. And I also painted the back side of the water pump, because once you bolt it onto the engine, it's hard to get the back side painted. So we're going to, yeah. You guys might be thinking, man, come on, Toes, you're doing this again. We've already seen you clean up and regasket a motor and blah, 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 blah. And I get it, I really do. But for the person that I'm working on this truck for, they want to have videos of their truck being built. They want a video of the whole thing, not just stuff that you guys haven't seen me do before. So that's part of it. And the second part is, I think that having the whole build start to finish is better than, oh, you've already seen me do this, I'll bring you back when it's done. And this is different than the last one. We've never done a big block before. So we're gonna do one, maybe four, whatever. I think we're gonna go on like a rash of, not cleaning up and recasketing, but gonna go on a rash of big block stuff, because as soon as I'm done with this motor, filming this video, this one that's sitting behind it on the floor is next on the docket. So we'll have two big block videos in a row for sure. If not three, maybe four, I don't know. And hopefully people like big blocks. I know I like big blocks. So once again, I do use silicone, but only enough to hold this gasket in place while I put the cover on. I'm not using it as a sealer, I'm using it as a adhesive. So there is sometimes when I will use silicone as a sealer, but not very often. Pretty much intakes, it's a big one. And, that's all I can think of. Diff covers, rear diff covers. I don't buy gaskets for rear diff covers. I think it's a waste of money. But some people insist on using diff cover gaskets, which is fine. I'm just not one of those people. All right, I'm gonna let that sit there and get tacky for a minute. I gotta go pull all the bolts that hold the cover on and clean them up, and then I'll bring you back and we'll put the cover on. All right, had some time for that to get tacked up. It should be good. It was probably good as soon as I did it, but anyways, I had to get the bolts pulled out and cleaned up. And here's a little sneak peek of what color the engine's gonna be. Now, I did change this seal, and you guys might go, but you painted all over it. Yeah, I did. Not gonna hurt anything, get paint on the outside of it. It seals on the inside. So yes, I did get a little bit of paint on it. No, it's not gonna hurt anything, but that's it, lime green. And as this build goes on, I don't know if I told you guys or not yet, I may have mentioned before that we were putting a motor in Pennywise so that it could be driven rather than trailered to its new home. Well, since that was talked about and since that decision was made, I have been asked by the owner of the truck to do a build on it, which I'm happy about, because everything that he wants to do to the truck is right on the same lines, for the most part, not completely, but on the same lines of what I wanted to do to the truck. And since I never got around to doing it and I ended up selling it. It's kind of cool that I get to do the build, basically the build that I wanted to do on the truck anyways. So I am super excited about that. So I'm gonna get this cover put on. I can hear my alarm going off telling me that I've got a little girl I gotta go pick up from school, so I'll get her picked up, get her dropped off, and when I get back, we will put the oil pan on, keep moving forward. So I just gotta tighten this down, then I'll go, then I'll come back, and we'll keep going. Okay, I got the oil pan all sanded pretty smooth. I got all the loose chipping falling off, paint off of it. And I'm gonna go ahead and put a coat of paint on it. I'm gonna get a good amount on the bottom and on the bolt rail, because once I bolt it on the motor and then we flip the motor over, you gotta like really kneel down on the ground and try to paint upside down, and yeah, you get it, but it's not as good. So I'm gonna paint the whole pan, but I'm gonna concentrate more on the bottom and on the rail, because when we go to paint the rest of the motor and it's flipped over, we'll be able to get the sides and stuff, but it'll be hard to get the upside down stuff. So you get the picture. For anybody that's interested to know the exact specifications of this paint, it's called Grabber Green DE 1641. And now I decided it was going to get windy outside, which is perfect for when you're painting, trying not to get overspray all over everything. But what can you do? As long as we're not getting overspray inside, I'm not too worried about out here. So. More concerned with not getting runs. We're just doing a light coat. For this green being as light and transparent as it is, it actually covers the orange really, really well. I'm surprised. I think I only put like maybe 2 wet coats on that timing cover, and it covered really well. So. And then the only other thing I still need to paint before I put before the motor's completely assembled and I paint the whole thing is the inside of the harmonic balancer. So once I get this pan painted, I'll go ahead and I'll clean it up, and we'll get the inside edge painted, and then when this stuff tacks enough that I can move it, we'll get it all put on, and then we'll come out and get a coat on the whole motor. So I figured you guys don't need to watch me clean up parts, because it's a time-consuming process, and to be honest, it's just boring. So I still have to clean up the intake. We got an Edelbrock aluminum intake, but we decided we're going to paint it engine color. So I still got to clean it up. And the valve covers are done. I haven't shown you them at all yet, but I've spent more time on the valve covers. And I didn't video it, but I took pictures. So I'll show you guys, but I went through the entire process on those valve covers. I took all the extra tabs that aren't needed anymore off. Heck, I even went so far as bondoing them, body filling them. It wasn't bondo, it was body filler. But yeah, I went all the way on those, and they look pretty good. You'll see them when we finish assembling the motor. And like I said, I'll put up some pictures of my process, but it turned out really good. All right, well, I got my first basically dust coat on this, and like I said, it covers well. I'm gonna let it tack up, and I can see some light spots and stuff. I'll let it tack up, I'll come back, I'll put another coat on it, and then it can sit here and dry for a little while while I work on other stuff. And we should be able to put it on. So. Okay, the oil pan is still very wet. I got 2 thick coats, 2 wet coats of paint on it. And I don't want it sitting outside with the wind blowing the way it is, because I got a dirt lot and I need to sand on the dampener harmonic balancer pulley so I can get it painted to come back in here. So I'm gonna just pick the pan up like underneath by the ends and bring it in and set it down. We won't bolt it right now or anything because it'll obviously screw up the paint, but I didn't want to have you guys miss out on seeing the oil pan go on, whether, you know, because you might care, you might have wanted to see that, so I wanted to make sure you got to see it. I'm gonna grab it, we'll throw it in. And I did clean the inside of it out very thoroughly before I started cleaning it or anything, so it has been cleaned out very well. I'm not going to push on it anymore. It seems like if I touch the edge, it's not transferring onto my hands, but I'd much rather just leave it sit. I'm going to get the balancer, just the inside of it painted. I want to paint the outside when I paint the rest of the block for obvious reasons. And then we can get the balancer and the water pump on, and then we can go ahead and roll it over. So I'm gonna get that balancer cleaned up. I'll get the inside of it painted, and then I can put it on while it's wet, since I'm only painting the inside, and it should be okay. So, all right. Hey, the dragonflies are back. Cool, no more mosquitoes. Anyways, before we were interrupted, the oil pan is dry to the touch. So as long as I am careful and don't really crank these harder than they should be cranked anyways, we shouldn't mess up the paint. Another key when you're trying not to scratch up paint. Don't push down on the ratchet or the socket when you're spinning it. Just kind of let it. Don't push down on it. Just kind of let it sit there. Maybe even lift slightly. And then it's not digging into the paint when you're twisting it. And I start in the middle, work my way out, and I'm gonna go ahead and speed this thing up for you guys. Okay, we got pretty much everything that's easier to do while it's upside down done. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to flip it over. Now, why it's upside down and everything can just fall off to the floor? I'm gonna go ahead, this block's pretty clean. I'm just gonna take a Scotch Brite and I'm just gonna rub over it. And I'm not cleaning, we'll wipe it down with brake parts cleaner before we spray it. All I'm doing is taking the loose flakes of paint that are gonna fall off, getting them out of our way. That's it. So I can just rub it down pretty quick and easy, unless I get to a spot where I see, you know, there's really a lot of flakes of paint or something that needs a little work, like right there. That's that. Now, not gonna wipe it down until we're ready to paint it, because we're probably gonna make more dust. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll it over. I did have a roll it over bar here somewhere, but I don't know what happened to it. So this will work. Maybe. Small blocks are a little bit easier. All right. Alright, not gonna say this is dry, but trying not to touch the green, and it'll be dry now. To go on. I think it's not. Yeah. I got an old trick for putting these on. Not really. I just beat them on with a dead blow hammer. All kidding aside, it's not in yet, but all kidding aside, you want to be careful when you beat these in with a dead blow hammer, because that dampener has the rubber deal in here that connects the outer piece to the inner piece, and those already get weak and stuff with age. So if you're going to hit it in with a dead blow or a hammer like I'm doing, you want to make sure you only hit it in the center ring and you don't hit the outside, because if you do, you can kind of screw it up. So just be careful. Got a good tight fit, that's for sure. We're almost there. All right, that's it. Moving on. Everything's going to start getting a lot quicker now, because we are slapping her together. This thing is extremely close to being on top dead center, and I'm not sure how I did that, because if you remember, we were just randomly spinning it, but it's close. Somehow this thing sat upside down for a week at least, and nothing came out of it, and then in the last 10 minutes it dripped coolant out. Don't ask how, I can't tell you. Once again, just enough silicone, RTV, whatever you want to call it, just enough to hold the gasket in place. And then the bottom bolt holes, I believe only the bottom bolt holes, go into water jackets. So, got thread sealant over there. And I've made the mistake before of forgetting about that. And it sucks when you get it in the truck and car or whatever, getting ready to fire it up, and you throw coolant at it, and it starts leaking where the water pump mounts to the motor all over the floor. So I'm not even going to take chances. I'm going to get the thread sealant, and I'm going to put it on all 4 bolts. It won't hurt anything if it doesn't need to be there, so we're just going to do it. This is just, it says thread sealant on the bottom. I call it liquid Teflon tape, but thread sealant, liquid Teflon tape, whatever you want it to be, that's what it is. Now, if you're wondering why the water pump is half painted, I only painted the back of it and the bottom of it. The parts that you can't really paint once you put it on. Just like I didn't paint the front of the dampener, because every can of paint, unless you like go to the factory and make sure they come off the same lot, they're called lots, lines, whatever. Basically what I'm saying is same batch. They could be different colors. I mean, they're going to be close, they're the same formula, same recipe, whatever you want to say. But as far as a perfect match, most likely not. So if you go to a parts store or order them online or whatever, they're probably stored in a big warehouse, and they come in and they get thrown on a shelf, and then they get ordered, and then they go somewhere else and get thrown on a shelf, and they get all mixed up. So the chance you don't get the same batch of paint, and like I said, different batches, different colors. So I got a good coat on everything that you can't see or that's underneath or whatever. Out of one can, there's a little bit left in that can. And then, I'm going to have to move on to a second can. So when I move on to that second can, I want to make sure that the whole like outside coat that you're going to see is all going to be from the same can, so that it's all the same color. Because if you look down in an engine bay and look at the front of the engine and the head is a different color than the water pump, it's going to look goofy. So that's the principle behind it. You guys might have already known that. Might be new news to you. Might help you out in the future. But so that part's together. The only other thing that we really have to put on before we paint this is the intake. And I still got to clean it up. So I'll get the intake cleaned up, I'll get the mating service cleaned up, and then we will be able to clean up the block. And once we get the intake on, we can paint it all. So what we're doing, somehow, don't ask me how, because I can't even tell you without lying, but I am completely out of gray silicone, except for this little tube that came with the front cover gasket set. So I'm going to use this gray to go around the water ports because I know it'll seal good and do what I need it to do. And then I've got a tube of black, which is okay, there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't, it's not my go-to. But I'll use it for the China walls. So like usual, I got the intake all cleaned up, it's ready. And but I'm gonna put this on. I'll put the gaskets on, and then I'll let it sit for a little bit, and once I get the gaskets on, I will put the silicone on the China walls, and then I'll let it sit for a little bit, and then I'll put the intake on and let it sit for a little bit, and then I'll bolt it down. If you're not a regular on the channel and you don't understand why I'm doing that, go back and watch the first neighbor's wife video. I changed the intake on that motor and I went into depth and explained my reasoning for all of that, why I do what I do. So if you're curious why I do it that way, or you're watching and you're like, what the heck is he doing? That video explains it all. So. And if you go back and watch it on the other video, then I get another view on another video, if you haven't watched it already. And I don't have to explain it again. Win-win. Now, I would normally leave the intake off and put paper towel down in the valley while I paint, because that keeps from getting paint all over the intake. But we decided, or the owner of the truck decided, that he wants the intake painted, and I agreed with him, I should say. We made the decision that we're going to paint the intake even though it's aluminum. So with that being said, we can put it on, bolt it down, torque it, and then we'll tape it off and paint it. So I'm gonna let that sit here for, I don't know, a good 10 minutes. And then I'll get the bolts ready. I'll grab the intake, I'll set it on. I'll put 4 bolts in to make sure everything's lined up, and then I'll let it sit for like 10 more minutes. So I'll bring you back. Okay. It's been sitting there for a good time, 10 minutes. We'll call it 10 minutes. And now I'm gonna come over here and very, very carefully attempt to set that down and perfectly line up the holes without messing up the gaskets. So I'm gonna grab 4 bolts. I'm gonna grab my thread sealer again, just like when we did the water pump. And I'm going to put sealant on the bolts. And I'm gonna put a bolt in each corner and get it started. Which I'm not even sure how that started, because if you look down in that hole, it wasn't lined up. But I'm not gonna argue with it. There's 2. There's 3. Not yet, no. Slow down. There's 3. And there's 4. All right, so like I said, I just got bolts in there to line it up. Now we're gonna let it sit again for a little bit and just kind of find its home and everything. And it's kind of pushing our silicone out a little bit, but not really bad. And so we're gonna let it set up a little bit more, and then I'll come back and I'll bolt it down. I probably won't bring you guys back just to put the bolts in. It's not that big a deal. But while it's setting up, I'm gonna go ahead and tape this off, tape off our distributor hole back here. I'm gonna set some valve covers that don't matter if they get paint on them on here. That's why I left the gaskets on, so it'll space them up. And then we'll be ready to paint this thing. Yeah. Okay, so I know I said that I was going to tape this off, which is normally what I would do. But because I'm painting the intake, I thought about it. And sorry for the distraction, but why I'm thinking about it, I said when I turned the motor over, I was going to make sure that that oil pump priming rod was locked in. And it is. Okay. That's one of those things when you start getting older, you forget stuff, so when you remember, you do it. I know there's a lot of you that are older than me and are going to say, when you get older, yeah, I'm getting there. So anyways, now, as far as paint getting on the gasket surfaces, I understand that I don't want paint on my gasket surfaces, but I'll be able to go back with a razor knife and scrape those off, and they'll be okay. And I don't want paper towel getting down in the engine, but if any of it does, I can reach in there with a hook and pick or whatever and just pop it out. So I think that is the last hole in the intake right there. And the only other holes that we have to plug are the spark plug holes. And I have random spark plugs lying around. See, these are 44 TS's. I think these came out of, I don't remember. I know I got a set of AC Delco 1s over there. I know those came out of Dream On, because those AC Delco 1s are not for old carbureted big blocks, I can tell you that. They're for like Vortec motors. So I was kind of curious why they were in there. But it doesn't really matter. So we're putting spark plugs in, not even tightening them down, putting them in a couple threads by hand just to fill the holes. I have bags, I don't know what these are. I have bags of used spark plugs because I use them for art stuff, make trophies or whatever. So adding some character to them, putting a little bit of paint on them. These are the valve covers that came with this motor. These are not the valve covers that are getting used on this motor. So they are on there so that the paint does not get all over the rockers and valve springs and anything else. And it won't really hurt anything if it does. It's just, you know, people freak out when you get paint. I mean, you could like leave that valve cover off and paint inside there. And I mean, not saying it wouldn't do any damage, but it wouldn't really hurt anything. So now I'm gonna go back with brake parts cleaner, wipe down everything that's orange that I can get to. That's already been wiped down, but what the heck, we'll do it again. We've already scuffed it, and I blew it off, which wasn't on video, so you didn't see me, but I blew it off. So I'm just going back and wiping it down just to make sure, get dust and whatever else off of it. She's dusty. But we've got paper towel in all the exhaust ports. Got paper towel in the mechanical fuel pump port. We got drain plug in. Put the oil filter on, which is a brand new oil filter, but until the first oil change, it's not really going to matter if it's got green paint on it. So. And this motor was by far the cleanest one I've ever messed with. Usually, when I do this kind of refresh, whatever you want to call it, on a motor, they're so dang dirty you can't even tell what color they used to be, and I sit there and take the time and clean them all up and make them all pretty again, all that stuff. This one, already pretty clean. A little bit of dust here and there, a little bit of dirt, but it's not covered in oil, not all rusty. It's actually pretty nice. Gonna have to say I like it a little bit. All right, I cleaned the intake before we put it on. I cleaned the bolts before I put them in. So, drum roll please. No, you don't have to give me a drum roll. It's not worth all that. I am going to move you guys out of my way. I'm going to push this thing into the paint booth, also known as outside on the apron, and hopefully we can get it painted pretty quick because I'm burning the light oil and it's getting dark outside. So here we go. You guys got lucky. I must have oiled the wheels on this one. Usually they're squeaking so darn loud you can't hear yourself breathe. Well, I wanted to put that board underneath there so I don't get much more grain overspray on my concrete, but looks like that's going to work just as good. All right. I don't know if that light helps any, but we're going to try. This first can that I've already started using is almost empty. So all right, 2 cans did it. I got a couple spots where I made the paint run because I put it on so thick. It's hanging out over the edge. So I can go back with a rag and grab it. Getting paint around them bolts is hard. All right, I think we got it good. I'm gonna let it sit there and tack up for a minute. We'll roll it back inside where we got better light and give it a second to dry and kind of let the shiny go away. As I'm talking to you guys, I'm kind of looking it over. If I see light spots, I got just the and I had just a touch of paint left, but that's it. We're done. It's covered. So, like I said, I'm gonna let it go back inside and let it tack up for a minute. I'm gonna wipe a couple drips off on the side over here that I can touch without touching. Just touch the drip, you know, not screw up the paint. And we'll go in, and I'm gonna put the valve cover studs in. I'm going to put the valve covers that we're actually going to be using on. And I'll show you guys what this thing looks like. All right, it's all painted up. I got the valve covers that I did all the work on. And to tell you guys, I'm gonna show you guys the pictures of those valve covers that I did right now. But I went all the way through them. I cut all the excess tabs and everything off of them. I hammered them all straight. I put body filler on them to make them nice and smooth and straight. And I painted them with semi-gloss black because that's the color that we decided that we wanted them to be. So. Sorry guys, I seem kind of out of it. I haven't eaten anything. I've barely had anything to drink. it's like 8 o'clock at night and I'm sweating and I'm about at my end of availability to think and walk. So anyways, yeah, I just saw a spot that probably could have used a little bit more green paint, but there's no reason I can't go get another can tomorrow and do a little touch up if I have to, but I don't know if I'll have to or not. Anyways, the valve covers, now that you've seen the pictures of them and I'm about to show them to you in real time, are gonna get something special. I'm not gonna tell you what that is yet, and I'm probably not gonna film doing it. But by the time this motor goes into Pennywise, which is going to be fairly soon, they will be done. And I will show them off, and I may post pictures of them on my social media platforms before the motor even gets put in the truck. So watch for that if you're curious. Before I show you this motor, if you're not subscribed, please do. If you want to see this build on, I mean, if you're new to the channel, you don't even know what Pennywise is. I mean, you must have seen the picture in the thumbnail. But it's this old 74 Chevy C30 Dually out here. And it used to belong to me, but I sold it to a friend and I kept the motor. Well, he brought me that other motor that needed to be rebuilt. I looked through it, everything looked okay. There wasn't really any wear in it that I could see. Still had cross hatches in the cylinders. The bearing caps that I pulled looked fine. And everything looked okay. So we put a new oil pump in it, we put a new timing chain in it. We're gonna put it in the truck. Now, I had a vision for that dually when I had it, but it was always my tow rig. It always had the trailer hooked up to it. It was always working. So I never got a chance to do what I wanted to do to it, because when I had time, I didn't have money. When I had money, I didn't have time. You know how that works. So anyways, I'm not saying that the colors are gonna be the same, but his vision of that truck is very similar to my vision of that truck. So basically, I get to build the truck that I wanted to build for him. So it's working out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the arrangement. So let's check out this motor and then we'll get on to part 2. So here it is, all green with the super smooth semi-gloss black valve covers. And it's gonna have semi-gloss black water pump pulley, balancer pulley, brackets are gonna be semi-gloss black, engine mounts are gonna be semi-gloss black. We're gonna put exhaust manifolds on there. They'll be cleaned up and painted also, but it came out pretty good. I like it. It is green, every bit of green that it can be. The only spots I see that might need a little touch up is right there, and part of that is the old valve cover gasket I haven't taken off yet. So I might be able to switch out the valve cover gaskets, and the valve covers are just sitting on the studs. They're not pulled down yet, so it may be covered. Other than that, it looks like it's covered pretty well. I don't see any more orange, so that's good. Smooth, slick valve covers. They are gonna be very cool when they're done. You'll have to wait and see that. But anyways, if you're not subscribed to the channel and you want to see the build of Pennywise, I'm not going to tell you what we're doing to it. You're going to have to subscribe and you're going to have to watch. So do that for me. And while you're at it, leave me a comment, hit the like button. All of it helps, and I need all the help I can get. So I appreciate you guys. Here's our motor one last time. It's just about ready to go in the truck, and it's gonna be really cool. So thank you guys so much for watching. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to do any of this. So y'all have a good one, and we'll see you next time.